One batch, two batch, penny and dime. Hey, what's up, you guys? Film Fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Season 1 of Marvel's The Punisher. So before we get into my review of Season 1, I must let you know that there will indeed be spoilers in this review, so if you have not seen the season, I highly recommend you probably don't watch this review, because with all of my TV show reviews, I do talk about major stuff that does happen in the season, so if you have not seen the season, yeah, don't watch this review. However, however, if you have seen the season, or if you just don't care about spoilers, then continue on watching and enjoy the reviews. So, there you go. There's your warning. You've been warned. Let's get into the review. So what Season 1 of Marvel's The Punisher is basically about, it's about, Frank, he did his job. He's done, he's done punishing and all that, until Micro shows up. And Micro needs his help with something because Frank has known the people that are behind this, because he used to be in the military with some of these people, so Micro needs Frank Castle's help to take these people down, and Frank agrees, and let's just say some things go down. So what did I think of Season 1 of Marvel's The Punisher? Now, going into this, I was very, very excited because there's no secret to this. The Punisher is my favorite comic book character of all time, or just one of my favorite characters of all time in general. He is a phenomenal character in my opinion. I love how he's just, he's kind of broken, doesn't really feel like he has anything to live for anymore. But, he takes matters into his own hands when justice won't do exactly that, take justice into things. He'll take justice into his own hands. And that's what I've always liked about the character. And I was very excited going into this and hoping that they would do something great with this. Because we've had some adaptations of the character before with, some 3 live-action movies beforehand. In 1989, we had the Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren, which that wasn't good. Then we had the 2004 version with Thomas Jane, which I still think is a very criminally underrated comic book movie. I think that's a really great film that a lot of people overlooked and a lot more people should check out, honestly. And, in 2008 we had Punisher Warzone, which, the movie's not good, but my God almighty, is it just like a fun as hell guilty pleasure movie. It seriously is. It's exploding heads the movie. That's exactly what Warzone is. But this is now the newest adaptation we've had of the character. He was introduced in Daredevil Season 2, and now he has his own series. And is it any good? Hell yeah, it is. This series is everything I could have possibly have wanted in a Punisher series. This is, without question, I think, the best show Marvel and Netflix have done. Honestly. It seriously, truly is. I love this series. This was, like I said, everything I could have possibly have wanted in a Punisher series. It's phenomenal. Seriously, everything is legitimately perfect about this series. Like, literally everything. Everything is phenomenal. I loved Season 1 of Marvel's The Punisher. It is quite amazing. So let's get into why I think this is so fantastic, starting off with the positives. And first, what the positives are being the acting. The acting is great. Seriously, the acting is quite truly amazing in this series. I thought everyone was great. Like, not just Frank, but even the side characters were fantastic, which I loved about this. Seriously, like, every character was great in this series. And, since he is the titled character, let's obviously talk about him first. The Punisher, who was played by Jon Bernthal. And Jon Bernthal, without question, is the best interpretation we've seen of this character so far. He really brings everything that he needs to bring to this character. He brings the anger, the grit, the emotion that this character needs, and he does a great job with that. And I loved him in this series. Like, he gives such a fantastic performance in this series. This is definitely, without question, the best performance he has ever given in his entire career, in my opinion, of course. He is phenomenal. I loved him in this, Like, there are moments where I'm like, this dude deserves an Emmy because of how fantastic he is in this. Like, he is truly amazing. I really thought everything that he brought to this character was everything that he did need to bring to this character, and he did a fantastic job of doing so, and I loved him. I loved his performance in this. Like, seriously, I loved him in this series. Like, he was fantastic. Seriously, Jon Bernthal does an absolutely phenomenal job as Frank Castle slash the Punisher. Um, the woman that plays Dina was really good too. Like, I think her first name is Amber, but I really enjoyed her in this. Like, she gives she gives a really great performance as well. Like, I was invested in her character too. She was really good. Like, the things that were going on with her character, I really enjoyed. I was really invested in it, you know. She was really good in this series too. The guy who plays Micro was great. I loved Micro. Like, besides Frank, he was probably my second favorite character in this entire series. Like, I loved him in this. Like, he was fantastic in this series. I loved him. His character had a lot of emotion to him as well. And he was great. Like, seriously, the actor that played him did a fantastic job. And the chemistry with him and Frank is great. Like, I could seriously watch an entire series of just the banter between Frank and Micro. Because they were so great together. Like, I thought their chemistry with each other was fantastic. Like, seriously, I can watch an entire series with just them. Seriously, like, they were fantastic. I love their chemistry with each other. And the guy who plays Micro just does a really great job in this series. Ben Barnes is in this too. He plays Billy Russo, and he does a fantastic job as well. Ben Barnes is a really underrated actor, man, you know, from stuff like, say, the Narnia films, or, you know, Westworld, or even that forgettable straight-to-DVD movie, By the Gun. He was great in that. And I enjoyed him in this series too. He did a fantastic job. Like, he was very intimidating as a villain in this. And I thought he was great. Like, he really gave a kind of a chilling performance at times. Like, I really enjoyed him in this. He did a great job to me. He was really fantastic. Another guy was Daniel Webber, who plays, I forgot the character's name, but, you know, he plays a character that really gets a lot of growth, surprisingly. You know what I mean? He's like a former war, you know, he was in war, he was a former soldier, and just the way his character develops into this, like, he goes from just being, you know, kind of just, you know, just a calm kid, and then he goes to being like a terrorist bomber. It's a very interesting character development throughout, and I actually like that. And that's another thing I loved about this series, is how it develops its characters in this. The character development and the character growth in this is fantastic. I love how they, you know, develop the characters in this. Like, they do a fantastic job of really giving time to develop these characters and really focus on that. And what a lot of people have been complaining about, I've seen from this series, is that there's not enough punishing, if you know what I mean. There's not enough of the Punisher, well, being the Punisher. And that didn't bother me, because that's not the only thing that is great about this character. The emotion that he brings, like, that's not the only thing that needs to be brought with this character. And I thought what they did was great. I thought they really gave some time of developing the characters and really giving some time. Like, 13 episodes was really enough to kind of develop the characters, develop the story really well. And honestly, usually with these Marvel Netflix shows, usually 13 episodes, it kind of can get cut down to like 10, trim some fat, you know what I mean? However, with this, no, I felt 13 episodes was honestly perfect. It really gave some time to trim out the story and really focus on it, and that's what I love a lot about this series. It really focused on its story, and it was great, and it developed its characters very, very nicely. Definitely the best character development in a Marvel series ever. Like, seriously, the best development in a Marvel series ever. Like, I love how they develop both the characters and the story in this. They just develop it so well, and I'm so invested in it. Because why? Because the characters are great, and the story is very intriguing. And that's exactly what you need for this series, and they do a great job with that. I was very invested throughout the entirety of this series because of how well the characters and the story is developed. And I think they do a fantastic job of doing that, of developing the characters and the story. And then when the action does happen, the action is effective. The action is great. Like, seriously, the action is fantastic, and they do not, and I mean they do not hold any boundaries with this, which I think is great. The violence is indeed violent, and it's it is the Punisher. It needs to be violent. He's not, there's a reason why he is called the most violent character in comic book history. There's a reason for it, and it shows in this series, and it's great. Like, the action, it's brutal, it's gritty, and it's awesome. I loved all the action sequences. And I'll talk more about some of them when I talk about the moments, but man, the action sequences are nicely filmed, nicely edited. Like, seriously, they are really great action sequences. Like, seriously, this and Daredevil have some of the best action I've ever seen on television. I love the action with the Punisher. The action is quite fantastic with this series. Like I said, it's very well filmed, very well handled. It's really great. I really love the action with this series. Like I said beforehand, I also loved how they kind of, not necessarily they show a backstory because we already know his backstory. It was shown in Daredevil Season 2, his backstory and stuff like that, but, they kind of change it up a little bit, and you just show glimpses. And I kind of like those flashbacks. They were great, honestly. Like, I really like how they would flash back to some things with Frank, whether it be with him in the military or with his family and stuff like that. It really gave some character growth, and I actually really like how they did that in this series. Like, they did a really fantastic job with that as well. It was really, really good. I really liked that a lot as well. Kind of, not necessarily trying to tell the origin story, but was kind of like, you already know what kind of how this goes with the character because you've seen it so many times, and Daredevil Season 2 really explained it really well, honestly. But they still are like, let's just kind of remind you why this character is why he's like this. And I like that, and it was really nice to see that with this series. The villains were really great. Like, I honestly really thought the villains were great with this series. Definitely some fantastic villains, especially Billy Russo. Seriously, the villains were great in this series. I loved the villains with this series. The writing is great. Seriously, the writing is fantastic. The screenplay is really great. The dialogue that is given to these characters are fantastic. The directing is phenomenal with this series. I love the directing with this series. It is so well directed, in my opinion. It's very well shot, very well edited. Cinematography is gorgeous. Like, seriously, the directing is so raw and gritty with this because this is, the Punisher does live in a world that is, kind of crappy. You know what I mean? Like, he does. It's, it's very crappy. It's, not the greatest of places, and they do a great job of really making you feel like you're in there, like, in that grit, in that feel, and it's fantastic. I really do think the creators and the director did a really fantastic job of really, bringing that onto screen, and they did a really fantastic job with it. So yeah, the directing is quite fantastic with this series. I love it so much. The music is also great too. I forgot to almost mention the music. The music is great. Like, I really love the score to it. The main theme song is probably now my favorite theme song to any Marvel show. Like, the opening credits are like fantastic. So yeah, the music, I really love the score to it. Kind of the music that plays during certain scenes and stuff like that really fit. So yeah, the music was honestly really great with the series too. And like I said, I'm invested throughout the entirety of the series. There was never a time where I was like bored. You know what I mean? Like, never a time I was like, come on, pick up the pace, let's kind of move along with it. Never. There was never a time I was like that. I was invested in this series 100% for all 13 episodes, and it was fantastic. Like, seriously, I loved all 13 episodes to this series and really made me invested. Alright, so it's now the time to talk about the 6 defining moments of the series, in my opinion. The ones that I really like the most out of all the things that happen in this series. First, let's talk about what happens at the end of the first episode, which, throughout the episode, we kind of just see Frank. He's kind of laying low, kind of keeping a low profile at first. And then once a job goes wrong, and these guys are putting this guy in like a cement truck and whatever, he's like, turn it off. And he's basically like, turn it off or I'm going to beat the crap out of you. And they don't turn it off, and that's exactly what happens to him. He just takes the sledgehammer and just starts beating everyone with it, and it's glorious. Like, seriously, it's the first time you see the Punisher doing some punishing. And I really like how they built it up to that, because, you know, throughout the episode, these guys are kind of antagonizing Frank and stuff like that, but once he finally snaps at the end of that first episode, it is indeed glorious. As, you know, Bobby Roode would say, it's glorious. It honestly really was. Like, I really thought they did a really great job with that, and that action sequence is brutal as hell. Like, one dude gets his face clobbered in by that sledgehammer. It is brutal, honestly. Like, it really, really is. Like I said, I love that this series did not hold back with its violence, and it's great. It's everything that needs to be done with the Punisher. And then there's this one dude who tries to escape through his car, and then Punisher's just, you know, Frank's just like, nah, that ain't happening, and just shoots him right through the window. It's great. Like, I love that. And then, you know, he turns off, he beats the last dude with the sledgehammer, a broken one at that, and it's great. And he turns off the, you know, cement machine, saving the guy and whatever, and he finds out where that deal happened to take out that mob family, and he just turns off the lights, just kills every single person in that room. It was great as well. And then the one dude, he's kind of like standing there, like looking around and stuff like that. And he sees all the dead bodies. But when you come back to him, Frank's behind him, and he just takes the gun and just shoots him right in the eye. It's glorious. Like, I was like cheering. It was so great. I was like, yes, this is the Punisher. I am loving every minute of this. So, yeah, that was the first moment. Now, the next one I want to talk about is a big action sequence that happens in the 5th episode. Like, this was some Rambo crap that was happening in this action scene, because he goes to his buddy, old Marine buddy, Gunner, and, you know, he needs to know, because he's the one that filmed that tape that they have, and, you know, he needed to kind of ask him some questions, and some people knew that some people were coming after Gunner already, and now him and Gunner are like fighting off these these combat soldiers, and it's great. Like, it's such an awesome action scene. Like, it's very stealthy, very, you know, gunfire heavy, and it's great. Like, I really thought it was really awesome action sequences, and like I said, some Rambo crap happens in this. Like, Frank hides underneath some leaves, some bushes. It's great. Like, it really is some stealthy Rambo type of crap, and it's great. I loved it. It was such a great action scene. Like, it was really invested in it. It was actually really well filmed, and, you know, very brutal as well, like a lot of these action sequences are. So yeah, that was really great. I really loved that action sequence. I feel like a lot more people should talk about that one. That one was actually really great. And then what happens at the end of the 9th episode, the whole world finds out Frank is alive, because, like I said, when I was talking about a little bit earlier, the kid becomes a terrorist bomber, and, you know, he has to save Curtis, his old, you know, Marine friend, because he's held captured by a bomb. And, you know, he basically tells the guy to go away and, you know, make a decision. You know, he saves Curtis, but Frank ultimately gets kind of mixed up as the bomber, and, you know, he's escaping from the cops, which is the awesome, really good chase sequence, may I mind you. It was a really well-filmed chase sequence. Like, he's trying to escape from the cops. You know, he throws like a giant rock at one of them. And, you know, he does a little bit of a slide on a cop car, but that kind of costs him because there was a dash camera on it. And it caught his face. And now the whole world knows that he was alive. And that was just like an like an oh crap moment. Like, it's like, oh, that's not good. Like now the whole world knows he's alive, and that is just not good for Frank at all, because, yeah, you know, the whole world thought he was dead, and now, surprise, he's alive. Like, it's just like, it was just kind of like an oh crap moment, especially for Frank himself. Like, it's like, oh boy, like, it seriously is. So yeah, that was just kind of like an oh crap moment that I thought was really good. So yeah, and then at the end of the 11th episode, the next moment I want to talk about, which, you know, he goes, this was probably the most Punisher thing about the whole entire series. Like, this was like full-fledged Punisher taking down like bad guys and stuff. Like, this was great. So, you know, he's locked up in the Micro's old office because, you know, Billy sent his soldiers to go and, you know, find him and whatever. And it's great. Like, it really is. Like, Billy even knows. Like, when he says, like, no one's here, Billy's like, it's a trap, get out of there. Like, he knows Frank like a book. And Frank just tosses a head that he chopped off, it has a grenade on it, kaboom, blows up everything, and Frank just starts meleeing everybody, like, mutilating everybody. And it's great. Like, it is so awesome. And that awesome gunfire scene happens. It is seriously, it's fantastic. Like, I loved every minute of it. Like, I was just cheering for Frank during the entire thing. I was like, you get them bastards, okay? You kill them all, okay? And it was great. Like, I loved it. It was so fantastic. Like, I legitimately brought a smile to my face because I'm like, this is the Punisher. This is Frank Castle. This is the character I have always wanted. Like, the definitive version I've wanted to see of this character. It's finally brought onto screen. And it's great. Like, I loved it. It was such a glorious moment. Probably my favorite moment in the entire series, to be honest with you. Because it was just so glorious to see him taking everyone out. And it was great. Like, I loved it so much. Like, man, it is great. Like, damn, was it amazing. I loved it. And yeah, he's like, and then when the last guy he goes to kill, like, he's like, you know, tell me where Russo is. And he's like, seriously, man, I don't know. And he's like, fair enough, just blows up his head. I'm like, that's the Punisher right there. That is fantastic. So that scene, like, I could just watch that scene a whole loop. That was quite phenomenal. And then the next moment happens at the end of the 12th episode, which is, you know, by the way, the last few episodes, like episodes 11, 12, and 13 are like my favorite episodes of the entire series. Like, those are truly like the best episodes of the entire series. And, you know, at the end of the 12th episode, Frank, he's been captured, you know, he's tied down, he's been tortured, and Billy, of all things, kind of lets him go. And he takes out his old Colonel buddy that he knocked his eye out with, and he's the reason he has a glass eye. And just that scene was great. Like, he is just like, you know what, you've been torturing me this entire time, time for you to die. And it's great. Like, he just beats the holy crap out of him. And he pulls a mountain from Game of Thrones and, like, crushes his eyes. Now, he doesn't crush it like a melon like the mountain does, but, you know, he crushes his eyes, and it's great. Like, I loved it. It was fantastic. It was a nice kind of, like, you know, good, like, kind of redemption moment, because, you know, he's been beaten, brutalized by this guy, and, you know, he finally gets his comeuppance in the end, and it was great. Now, the last moment I want to talk about is what happens, well, the last final action scene that happens in the final episode, and that's when Frank and Billy have one more Mexican standoff with each other, and it is great. Because these two know each other like a book. I was anticipating this throughout the entire episode, because I knew this was going to be awesome. Because, you know, these two, it was like a cat and mouse game between the both of them. And they know each other so well. Like, I was on the edge of my seat waiting for what was going to happen next. Because, like I said, these characters know each other so well. That's like, what are they going to do? And it's great. Like, it is a really awesome finale action sequence. Like, I thought it was very well filmed, and, you know, just the stuff that goes down during it is great. But just that final moment where, you know, Frank gets him, he just, you know, beats the holy crap out of him. It was such a satisfying moment. Like, it was such a satisfying moment because Frank finally got what he wanted, and it was to take out everybody that he wanted to take out. And, you know, he has a knife to Billy's throat, and he's like, you know, Billy's like, you know what, kill me, just kill me. And Frank's like, you know what, nah, I'm not gonna kill you. And what he does, because at first he, like, scraped his face onto the glass, like, scraped it, like, run his face down the glass, and I knew what he was doing, because I'm like, I know where this leads into. I'll talk about more after I'm done talking about this, but he just keeps on repeatedly, like, bashes his head into the glass, like, just like, boom, 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 repeatedly bashes his head in, and they do say that his face is completely messed up, and, you know, he might not be able to, like, have, proper brain function again. I knew what this lead into. Once he started scraping his face onto the glass, I was like, okay, I know what they're doing with this, because if a season 2 does happen, Jigsaw might be coming. and that's like the Punisher's main villain, and that's what could be happening, and I'm very excited to see that. I'm excited to see Billy's stitched up face. That's the thing I'm excited for the most. I can't wait to see what they do with like his stitched up face if we do see Jigsaw in season 2, which I'm pretty sure we will, and it's gonna be great. Like, I cannot wait to see that. Once we see that reveal of just him with that stitched up face, it's gonna be awesome. And it was just such a satisfying moment to see Frank really get his final, get his final redemption that he needed for his family and stuff like that. It was great. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where that leads into, because that was a nice little thing that they did, being like, yeah, we know this is gonna be, we know what this is going into, and I can't wait to see. I'm very, very excited. If they do a season 2, which I'm pretty sure they will, I can't wait to see Jigsaw be brought into this. I cannot wait to see that. It is going to be fantastic. I'm very interested to see where they'll go with season 2. And I will definitely be watching that day one. So, yeah. Overall, the series blew me away, man. This is fantastic. This is without question the best series Marvel has done so far. And it was everything I could possibly have wanted as a fan of this character. And with this being my all-time favorite comic book character, I was very excited to see what they were going to do with it. And they did a phenomenal job with it. Like, I am honestly speechless of how incredible, really, they did with this. Like, I knew they were going to do a fantastic job with it because I've loved a lot of the other series beforehand. But they just, like, exceeded my expectations by, like, 1 billion, honestly. Seriously, like, this is a phenomenal series. The way that they develop their characters in this, the way that they develop their story, the way that they handle some things with emotion and, the grit and the anger and stuff like that is really great. It was everything I could have possibly have wanted from an adaptation of The Punisher. Honestly, like, seriously, from beginning to end, I love this entire thing. This is honestly a perfect series to me. I can honestly now see this being, like, one of my favorite shows of all time now. This is, like, fantastic. Seriously, I loved every moment of this. Every moment was perfect. So it's time for my official grade on Season 1 of Marvel's The Punisher. And my official grade on Season 1 of Marvel's The Punisher, without question, is an A+. Like I said, this is the best series Marvel has ever done. It's the best series Netflix has ever done. So like I was saying before the camera cut out, it's a great series. Like, seriously, it's everything I could possibly have wanted out of a Punisher series. I loved every minute of it. It's quite fantastic. If you haven't seen the series, well, I don't know why you're watching this review, because I talked about a lot of major things, but if you haven't seen the series, watch it. It's fantastic, seriously. I loved every minute of it. It's phenomenal. Like, seriously, it is quite incredible. It is a phenomenal show. I can't talk any more positive about this show. Like I said, as a fan of this character, with him being my favorite comic book character of all time, it was everything I could have wanted. It was the perfect show and the perfect adaptation they could have done of this character. Seriously, truly phenomenal. Loved it. Amazing show. Definitely highly recommend. It is incredible. Definitely deserves an A+. But, if you have seen Season 1 of Marvel's The Punisher, what did you think of it? Leave in the comment section below at DumbFilmFan0599, and we will see you about later. Peace.